January 17th, 2001, Amityville, New York. A quiet night at a local gym turned into a scene of chaos and bloodshed. Al Algeri, co-owner of the gym and an electrician by trade, stepped outside to grab a CD from his SUV. But before he could return, 5 gunshots rang out. Mortally wounded, he stumbled back inside, desperate and bleeding, before collapsing. At first, police had no motive, no suspects, no reason why a hardworking businessman would be executed in cold blood. But as the investigation deepened, detectives uncovered a web of betrayal stretching from Al's best friend to his best friend's wife, and eventually to a twisted story of love, greed, and mistaken identity that would shock an entire community. This is the Amityville hit, Murder Gone Wrong. Hey y'all, I'm Kris Calvert.
And I'm her husband, Rob Potter. Welcome to Hitched to Homicide.
For better or worse.
Till death do us part.
We're back, y'all.
We had a little sabbatical.
I was sick.
Yeah.
Very sick. I'm much better, on the mend. Thank you, everybody, for all your well wishes.
Yes, all the concerns.
But we're back in the saddle again today, and welcome.
Yes, welcome. And for our friends on the Ivory Coast.
Yes.
Akwaba.
That sounds like something I drank a lot of while I was sick.
I put it in my coffee.
Well, wherever you're listening, be sure to subscribe to Hitched to Homicide. That way, other people who love true crime just like you can find us. Be sure to like, rate, and review the podcast and tell your friends all about us.
Please do.
And when you do, tell them to go join the closed Facebook group, the In-Laws and Outlaws. All you got to do is go to Facebook, type in H2H In-Laws and Outlaws, answer a couple questions, and you're in.
Yep.
You can find us on Instagram at Hitched to Homicide or on X at _H2H _podcast. See, this is what happens. This is what happens. I'm rusty. X H2H _podcast.
There you go.
Go give us a follow. We would love it.
See, everyone doesn't understand. She does all the heavy lifting. I just sit back here and be her Ed McMahon. For those of you that are old enough to remember Johnny Carson.
Here's Johnny.
Well, today I'm heavy lifting a dog because he was not having it unless he was with me. He's been very protective while I've been on the mend.
Yep.
So he wanted to sit with me today. I don't know how long he'll be here, but
We'll
he's going to
find
be here for a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
This is a really interesting case. It's mistaken identity. This is like, you know, when you say, I have the worst luck.
Yeah.
This guy really did have the worst luck, a senseless death.
It's like Pigpen had the little dust bowl behind him in Peanuts. He has the black cloud that follows him.
Yeah, but only for one night. Only for one night.
Okay.
Before we get started, let me thank some sources. CNN, The New York Post, Larry King Live, NBC's Killer Couples, The New York Times, The Cinemaholic, Murderpedia, Newsday, and The Daily News.
All right. Well, you ready?
I am.
Let's do it.
Leanne Armanini is born on December 29th, 1968 in Long Island, New York. When Leanne is a young girl, her parents split up. Her mother moves to Florida to be with her female lover, and her father has a really hard time dealing with this. He's doing the best he can to raise Leanne on his own, But by the time she's a teenager, she sort of starts acting out. I mean, a lot of teens act out.
Yeah, that's nothing new.
I know, what, right? I mean, what am I even saying? She acts out.
Yeah.
But she's being a little bit more promiscuous with boys. She's hanging out with guys who are way too old for her or are actually no good for her. And her father doesn't like that very much. And by 1985, when Leanne is 19 years old, she is pregnant. Now, she doesn't have a good relationship with the baby daddy, and they don't stay together. And now she's a single mom and on her own. And being a single mom is tough. I've been one. She needed to provide for her and her baby, so she takes a job as a bartender at a local strip joint. Now, she's only 19, but in 1981, the legal drinking age in New York was 18, and that was changed in 1982 to 19. And then on June 19th, 1985, President Reagan signed into law the 21-year-old drinking age, ruining spring break for all high schoolers in Florida forevermore.
Spring break forever.
Here you go.
There was a grandfather clause, so a few people eked by, me included.
Nice.
Leanne was a pretty girl, but if you're pretty, young, single, and a mother, and the men you're exposed to are the ones who are coming into a strip bar, you might be kind of hard-pressed to find a man who's looking to settle down and be a good father to your son and a supporting husband.
Yeah, it's not like finding your next husband in church.
Well, it's not impossible. It's just not probable.
Yeah.
And as fate would have it, in 1996, a guy named Paul Riedel walks into her bar. Now, he's a good-looking Italian guy. He's an entrepreneur. He's doing well. He has money. Leanne was all about Paul and his success, and he was really into Leanne. And these two were hot for each other. And this was the kind of man Leanne had been waiting for, right? He was stable. Also, nowhere does it say that he was called Paulie. But in my mind, he's a Paulie. He's that guy, you know.
Yeah.
He's Paulie.
Yo, Paulie.
Yo, Paulie. Paul has a past. He's got a record. He spent 6 years in jail for dealing drugs when he was 19. He was dealing cocaine. He liked to gamble. He was also a bookie. He had a history of fighting, and he had even been stabbed.
Jeez.
Paulie!
Again, yo, Paulie.
Yeah.
But when he meets Leanne, he tells her, I've put all of this behind me. I've got all of that's in the rear view mirror now.
Right.
And these two start dating. After only 2 months, Leanne is pregnant.
Again.
And Paul is over the moon that he's going to be a dad. And according to his friends, he was all about it. He was really into her pregnancy. He was a doting father over his baby mama. He was already in love with this new child, even though it hadn't arrived yet. And there are a lot of dads who are that way. You know, they like to rub the belly, talk to the belly.
Yeah. Put headphones on the belly and play classical music.
I actually did that, but I don't know that either one of the kids likes classical music. But, you know, at the time, it was a Walkman too. So, you know, how great could the stereo be?
Yeah, there was no bass end, so that's why they...
But Paul asks Leanne to marry him because he wants to make it official, and Leanne agrees. Now, I've seen reports where their friends said that even though they were together and they were a couple, there wasn't a lot of chemistry between the two of them. I think there's a lot of sexual chemistry, but like not partner kind of chemistry.
Right.
But obviously enough chemistry to make a baby.
Sure.
They marry in 1998. Algeri is Paul's childhood friend and new business partner and his best man in the wedding. And Leanne and Paul move into a new house. She becomes a stay-at-home mom. She's got her son, who by this time is 12 years old, and Paul adopts him. And when the baby comes, it's another boy, and they name him Nicholas. Now that he's got this wife and kids, Paul's really working hard to make the gym that he shares with his best friend a successful place so they can all have the life that they want.
Sure.
Now, the same year Paul and Leanne marry, Paul and Algeri, who are both these really muscular guys, and liked to work out.
Yo, Paulie.
Paulie and Algeri, right?
Mm-hmm.
They opened this Dolphin fitness club. That's what they called it.
Okay.
And Alex Algeri was born on September 18th, 1968. And Paul and Al, who was called Big Al and Papa Smurf by his friends, again, are childhood best friends. And they're both, again, these beefy, muscular dudes. They rode their Harleys together. They both had that I could kick your ass if I wanted to kind of vibe.
Right.
I'll kick your ass.
And Paul and Al, they really look alike. They're both big. They're both Italian. They both work out. They both have goatees. They even drive the exact same black SUV, a GMC Yukon. And in the back window of each of their SUVs, they have the same white sticker in the same location,
Okay.
advertising the Dolphin Fitness Club.
Huh.
That's called foreshadowing.
Uh-oh.
Yep. Now, Al Algeri spent his entire life in his boyhood home in Deer Park, and he had been living with his father, Salvatore, and his stepmother, Maria, big Italian family,
Oh, yeah.
and his brother, Paul. It's like, this is Paul, this is Paulie,
Yeah.
Paul, his brother Paul.
Well, just the fact that it's Salvatore and Maria. I mean, come on.
I know.
Yeah.
He graduated from Deer Park High School and became a well-known and trusted electrician. He was a member of the local 25, and he did all the electrical work at the club. So both Paul and Al, they're hard workers, and Paul also likes to play hard. Al doesn't play hard like Paul plays hard.
Okay.
Because all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But Paul's out at all hours of the night, and he's involved in a few fights. And Leanne is home with the kids all day and all night.
Yeah.
And he's out having a good time with his buddies. But what she soon discovers is that Paul, who used to sell cocaine, has a bit of a drug habit. But this time it's crack. He's smoking crack.
Whoa.
And when he smokes it, he kind of loses his mind. Well, I thought that was the whole point of when you smoked crack. Don't you lose your mind? I don't know.
Yeah.
Time out, crackheads!
Leanne apparently needed to lock herself in the bedroom at times because she was afraid of him. But according to Paul, quote, I never put hands on her, end quote.
I never laid a finger on you.
Okay. Good for him.
Good for her. I never put hands on her.
Yeah. I smoked crack, but I didn't put it.
Yeah, but he never denies that he was smoking crack with his buddies.
Yeah.
So, all partying aside, the gym becomes more and more successful, and there was more and more money coming in, and Paul starts to spiral out of control with his partying, which Al did not approve of.
Right.
Suddenly, Paul's never around to work, and when he is, he's high as a kite. And it all came to a head when Al discovers that money is missing from their corporate bank account, and Al thinks that Paul has taken the money to fuel his drug habit. Now, when all of this starts happening, Leanne decides that she needs to get as far away from their Amityville home as possible.
Okay.
So in 2000, she packs up both children and leaves, and she goes to Florida where her mother lives. So she moves in with her mom and her mom's girlfriend, but that's not all she packs up with her when she goes. Leanne took with her $120,000
Ouch.
from Paul's bank account.
Oops.
So she moves in with her mother, and Leanne begins bartending at a strip club in Miami, Florida, where she meets Rocco Salierno. She's got a type.
Yeah. You think?
Rocco's a bad boy, and he too has big muscles, and I read somewhere that he had muscles on muscles. I also read that he was a bit of a bonehead.
Total bonehead!
But Rocco had a reputation as the kind of guy you didn't want to mess with. He had a career as a bouncer and a bodyguard, and when he met Leanne, he fell head over heels in love with her. Rocco thinks Leanne is the bee's knees. My mom always said that. That's the bee's knees. So he thinks Leanne's the bee's knees, and Leanne, who is still married, by the way, really likes all the attention she's getting from Rocco. Because remember, she's staying at home with the kids in New York while Paul is out partying. So it was nice to have someone pay attention to just her.
Sure.
And it began as a little coworker flirtation, but it turned into lots of sexual tension between these two. And when they finally did do the deed, well, after that, they just couldn't get enough of each other. They were together every single night. It was hot and heavy, and everyone knew how crazy these two were for each other. Like, apparently, they couldn't keep their hands off of each other.
It was like Dewey and Walk Hard. It's the only thing I thought of.
Cox. I Need Cox.
That's such a great movie.
The best duet ever written and sung in a movie is in Walk Hard.
Yeah.
In my dreams, you're blowing me some kisses.
Yeah.
So Leanne likes the way Rocco makes her feel about herself. Sexy. And Rocco liked that Leanne wasn't a stripper because he'd only ever really dated strippers. And to be in a relationship with a real woman who had kids and cared for her children like she was responsible, he found that very appealing. Not that exotic dancers aren't responsible. Don't email me.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it was a change for him, okay?
We just report the news.
Rocco starts to become obsessed with Leanne just in time for her estranged husband, Paul, to reach out to her. Now, I don't know if he misses her. He misses his $120,000.
Yeah.
He does miss his son, Nicholas, and he doesn't want to be an absentee father. Again, he's Italian. Family's everything to Italians, right?
Yep.
And it's been about 6 months since Leanne packed up her stuff and headed south with the kids and Paul's money. And now Paul's really angry that Leanne has left him, but at the same time, he tells her
You're right. You're absolutely right.
that she's right and he is wrong. He should not be smoking crack, and he's going to check himself into rehab. And Leanne does not believe him. But he says, look, I'm turning over a new leaf. And Paul wants to be a father to his son, and Leanne still doesn't believe it's ever going to happen. So she makes Paul a deal. She says, if you can show me a clean report from the doctor, a clean drug report,
Right.
I'll move back to Amityville and bring the kids. Now, at the same time, Paul is working with his attorney behind the scenes because regardless of what Leanne decides, he's going to force her to bring his child, Nicholas, back to Amityville, New York, because in the state of New York, you cannot take a child more than 50 miles away from the parent. And Paul's planning on using this New York state law in his custody battle over Nicholas. So he's kind of saying one thing, he's got plans going on in the background.
Right.
But he does go to rehab, and guess what? He gets clean for Nicholas.
Okay.
And Leanne says now she feels guilty
I feel bad.
because she's been screwing around with Rocco, and Paul is getting his life together. And even though she loves the hot sex life she has with Rocco, Paul is the father of her child, and he's the one who has the long-term potential to be a successful provider. He's got money.
Right.
Rocco doesn't have money.
Right.
So she goes back to Amityville. And what we don't know is if she went back because she wanted to or because she was being forced to go back.
Okay.
Because according to some, this is where a plan is hatched to get Paul Riedel out of her life.
Uh-oh.
So, November of 2000, Leanne decides to give her marriage another chance. By Christmas, just a month later, Paul and Leanne seem to be in a good place. Or are they really? Because Paul is still partying and leaving Leanne at home alone. And Leanne is still in touch with Rocco and slipping off to Florida to see her mother. I've got my air quotes up,
Yeah.
which was code for I'm going to shack up with Rocco.
Yeah.
And while she's there, she tells Rocco that she is miserable with Paul, but she's not willing to give up the son they have together, and she's not willing to give up Paul's disposable income that she wants to use, and she's not ready to give up the baby. And
Right.
she's saying, look, he's got money to take this child from me, and I don't.
Sure.
So she decides that Paul's got to go.
Hmm.
Earl's got to die.
Man.
You know,
Yeah.
Earl had to die. Earl's got to die.
That Earl had to die.
That is like an anthem. Every girl who's ever broken up with an abusive boyfriend, they sing that song with all their girlfriends at the top of their lungs.
Things I didn't know.
Girls, you can email me, girls, if I'm wrong or if I'm right. Now, all of this is, this plan is hatched allegedly because she's always going to maintain her innocence. She tells Rocco there's money in Paul's safe, that he has life insurance, and that she would own part of the gym, which she could sell, but only if Paul is dead. So at the bar and in front of all these witnesses in Florida, including a drug dealer named Michael Piglianti, she tells Rocco she wants him dead. Quote, I want him f***ing dead, end quote.
It sounds like a movie.
Again, Earl's gotta die.
Yeah.
Now, Leanne gives Rocco a photograph of Paul, plus driving directions to 3 places in New York where Paul could be found. And after this, Rocco offers Michael Paglianti $3,000 to rent a car on his own credit card and drive with him to New York to kill Paul Riedel. But Michael says, no.
Yeah.
That three grand, not worth it. No, thank you.
Yeah.
So Rocco moved on to the next guy he would ask for help, a man named Scott Paget, another drug addict and dealer. And Scott says, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Scott rents a white van, and the two of them, Rocco and Scott, drive over 2,000 miles to the Dolphin Fitness Club in Amityville, New York, on January of 2001. So it's right after Christmas when Leanne and Paul have been together, and people are like, it seemed like things were okay.
Right.
But by the turn of the new year, by 2001, she started to make these plans, and then the deal has been offered to his buddies. Rocco's offered this deal to his buddies.
Sure.
And the plan's in motion, right?
Right.
Scott said that the only thing that Rocco told him was that they were staking out the club and offing the guy who owned the gym. And his name was Paul Riedel. That's what Scott knows.
Okay.
And Rocco knew the hours that Paul kept at the gym, and he knew what kind of car he drove because Leanne provided him with photographs and information. Now, on the night of January 17th, 2001, Al Algeri, Paul's business partner, is at the Dolphin Fitness Club. And Al and Paul have traded shifts at the club because Paul had other plans that night.
Wow.
So Paul is not at the club, but Al is. And one of their aerobics instructors stops Al and says, hey, what was that song you played the other day in my class? And he tells her, it's Ricky Martin's Livin' La Vida Loca. So Al says, I don't have the CD here in the gym. It's in my car, but I'll go out to my car and get it. So he walks outside the club to his black GMC Yukon, his SUV, with the Dolphin sticker in the back that is identical to his business partner, Paul's SUV.
Right.
And he says, to this little aerobics instructor, I'll just rush out and get it real quick. I'll bring it right back to you.
Right.
So he goes out to his car, and 5 shots ring out. Al is shot 5 times in the chest and neck. Now, to tell you what a big, tough guy Big Al was, he manages to get out of the parking lot and back into the gym where he says, quote, "I've been shot," end quote.
Gee whiz.
And he collapses on the floor.
Wow.
Now, the people in the gym think that he's tripped or something because apparently he didn't look like he had been shot 5 times, but he was. So they call 911 and they wait for EMS. And while they wait for EMS, one of the gym patrons is performing CPR on Al.
Okay.
Now, Leanne is getting phone calls at home about a shooting at the gym, and she immediately calls the police. And they assure her that Paul is unharmed, but his business partner, Al Algeri, is dead. He died after he made it to the hospital. 5 shots to the neck and chest, hitting his lungs and heart. And someone, according to the police, is sending a message. It's overkill. It's really overkill.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. And the police secure the crime scene at the Dolphin Fitness Club, which is the back parking lot where he shot, and they begin questioning everyone who was inside the gym and outside the gym that night. And they find a woman who was out walking her dog who says that she heard the gunfire and she saw a man fleeing the scene. She sees a man jump into a white van and the van drives off. But she couldn't say what he looked like, and there weren't any surveillance cameras on the back lot of the gym. Now, the homicide detectives are baffled at who might want to kill Al. He's this fine, upstanding man, and they start interviewing all the members of the gym to get a better understanding of Al's life. And what they find out is that Al was maybe involved in some stuff. And a background check on Al showed that he was involved in a truck hijacking when he was 19.
Okay.
So it's almost exactly like Goodfellas.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like where they hijacked the truck and then there was a hit out on
Samuel L. Jackson.
On Samuel L.
Yeah.
Jackson. Yeah. So they're thinking maybe there was a hit out on Al for some reason, even after all these years.
Sure.
So his friends and family, they're like, no way Al was involved in anything at this point in his life. They even said that when he went to prison in his 20s, he was scared straight, and he didn't want any part of that life ever again.
Right.
Al was a changed man, and he was a big teddy bear, and everybody loved him. So if it wasn't a mob hit, who would want Al Algeri dead?
Well, yeah, I mean, he doesn't have any reason to be killed by anyone.
No, none. And of course, his family is like, no way, no how.
Yeah.
Now, police explored all kinds of theories, and they even looked at rival fitness centers to see if anybody might have had a grudge to settle, but they find absolutely nothing.
Sure.
And then the police are like, Al might have been squeaky clean, but what about his business partner, Paul? Paul had a reputation, and he's also got a record, and he's fresh out of rehab. Now, even though Al and Paul are best friends, and they look alike, and they drive the same car, the police see red flags when they look into Paul's background with drugs, and they want to dig a little deeper. So it doesn't occur to them in the beginning that this is mistaken identity. They're just thinking, it's just his partner and he might have something to hide. We should look at him. And friends of both Paul and Al tell police that 1 week before Al is murdered, he and Paul have a fight. Al tells Paul, I've had it. I've absolutely had it. And the police question Paul, and he tells them, yeah, that's true. I'd been skimming some money off the top of the business, and Al and I had a fight, and they even shoved each other a little bit, but Paul says, I didn't kill him. He tells the police that he loved Al. Al was his best friend.
Yeah.
But Paul also has an alibi for that night. He was off with his buddies, smoking crack on the night of the murder. So he's got an alibi.
That's a tough alibi.
Right? How do you tell the police that?
Yeah.
And then the guys are coming forward. Yeah, we were
We were
smoking crack. Yeah. So an alibi is an alibi, you know.
Sure.
He's supposed to be clean.
Even if it puts you in jail.
Yeah. He's supposed to be, well, he can only go to jail if they catch him doing it,
I know,
right?
I know.
But what happens is now Leanne hears that that's his alibi.
Right.
And Leanne's not going to be happy with him.
Yeah.
And Paul's buddies, they vouch for him. They were with him. And Paul even submits to a gunpowder residue test on his hands, and it comes back negative.
Mm-hmm.
He hadn't fired a gun. But the police aren't so easily convinced Paul didn't have something to do with the murder, because he could have hired a hitman or men, as it was the case.
Right.
Police keep a close eye on Paul, and in addition to him, they keep a close eye on Paul's wife, Leanne. Now, when the authorities question Leanne about Paul, and when she discovers what his alibi was that night, she's angry.
Yeah.
And like, he better give his heart to Jesus because his ass is mine, kind of thing. He's messed up everything. Paul was supposed to be working late at the gym that night, but he traded shifts with Al so he could go smoke it up with his buddies.
Mm-hmm.
But something the police notice right off the bat is that Al and Paul do look very much alike. And it would be easy for someone to mistake one for the other, especially in the dark.
Sure.
Now, I do want to say that's not the first thing that comes to mind. It's sort of the second thing. They start questioning everybody, and then it sort of comes out, maybe these guys do look more alike. And I think it was more that they drive the same car.
There you go.
And then the police were like, oh, I get it.
Yep.
Light bulbs going off all over the place.
Yep.
Police question Leanne, and she tells them she can't imagine why anyone would want to kill Al. And then she tells the police that she believes that the bullets were meant for Paul.
Mm.
She says there are lots of reasons why someone might want to take Paul out. She's not really playing the concerned wife at this point.
Yeah.
But she's also angry that he's off and doing drugs again.
Sure.
And she's decided to come back from Florida to New York, where she left her boyfriend.
Right.
And remember, he was supposed to stay clean.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there were rumors that Paul had a huge gambling debt that was being held by the mob. And suddenly, there's just too much suspicion around Paul, so police take him into custody. Number one, they want to protect him if there really is a hit out on him, and they want to question him about his criminal past.
Right.
And during his interview, Paul tells the police that yes, he's been doing some illegal betting, but he always pays back his debts. But there was one person he thought might want to off him. He tells the police a story that happened weeks earlier when the tanning bed attendant at the gym came to him in tears. She's hysterical. And she tells him that some guy in one of the tanning booths had come out completely butt naked and asked the attendant if she would rub him down with tanning lotion.
Oh, jeez.
To which I say,
Ew.
ooh.
Yeah. Hell no.
I'm picturing the whole scene in my head.
Yeah.
But Paul rushes back there. He grabs this guy, kicks him out of the gym, I guess with just his towel. And when Naked Man is standing in the parking lot, he yells at Paul and says, quote, "You're a dead man," end quote.
Wow.
Now, there are other people at the gym that day that confirm this story. But the police don't have anything more about the naked tanning bed man. I mean, they're like, okay, you know, he said he'd kill you.
Right.
But that's all we got. I wonder if they had like cameras in the front, because we know they didn't have cameras in the back.
Yeah.
Maybe they had Naked Man in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I wonder how tan he was. I guess he didn't have any tan lines, but that's a whole other story.
Is that a gun in your pocket or never mind?
You're terrible. That's terrible. All this publicity is hurting the business at the gym. And even Al's family is looking at Paul like, are you the reason our son is dead? Our brother is dead? And meanwhile, Leanne is telling Paul, I'm not happy.
Not happy!
I've come back to New York because you made me, because of the law, but you're supposed to have your act together, and now you've proven that you can't even do that. And after Al's murder, there's all this chatter, and people are wondering if there's something going on between Leanne and Al. And Leanne says, I can't live like this. I can't live like this.
Right.
So she asks Paul to relocate with her to Florida, saying it's just too dangerous for us to be in Amityville. And he agrees. So he gives his blessing for Leanne and the boys to go back to Florida to live with their mother. And Paul starts flying back and forth to be with his wife and kids because he still has a gym to take care of.
Sure.
But Rocco, she's just down there so she can be with Rocco.
Right.
Now, on Paul's trips to Florida, he's working really hard to win back Leanne's trust, and he believes that they've really started to rekindle the relationship. And 2 months later, Leanne is pregnant. Paul is over the moon. He promises to be the man she wants him to be. I meant it the last time, but I really mean it this time, right?
I double dog dare you.
Meanwhile, back at the gym in Amityville, Al's murder case has gone cold. That is, until a thief named Michael Paglianti is picked up for attempting to buy 500 pounds of weed from a DEA agent, which sounds like a bless your heart story.
Bless your heart.
Actually, I have that coming up here. Never mind.
And when Michael's arrested, he tells the cops, okay, you got me. It's the DEA's involved. This is big, but I know something big.
Yeah.
Huge.
This is huge.
Something I'll tell you, but only if I can cut a deal. And he tells them, I have information on the murder of Al Algeri. So Michael tells the police that he's got some kind of information through a drug dealer, a drug addict named Scott Paget. And at this point, Scott Paget is a bouncer at a Miami strip club with an arrest record for drugs and battery. He's on probation and living in an apartment right outside of Miami. And police are like, that's low-hanging fruit. We're going to go pick him up.
Sure.
They pick him up, take him in for a chat, and Scott is not happy about it. The police can see that Scott is super nervous, really nervous. He's mad as hell at Michael for ratting him out. And he tells the police that he doesn't know Al Algeri and he had never been to New York. But remember, this guy's on probation and any little thing could put his butt right back in prison.
Sure.
And the police know this, so they just keep hammering away at him with questions. And finally, Scott Paget sings like a canary. He tells police that it was true. He had been to New York and he did know about the murder of Al Algeri because he was involved in the shooting and they'd screwed up and they killed the wrong guy.
Wow.
And according to Scott, it all started with a friend of his in Florida, Rocco Salierno. Scott tells the police that Rocco had ties to the mob and he believed Rocco was full of crap, that he was all talk. That is until Rocco offered him $3,000 to drive him to New York so he could whack a guy. Quote, whack a guy. And Scott tells police, look, the money was too good. I couldn't pass up the opportunity. And Scott had never been involved in something like murder before. So only drugs, right?
Right.
Scott rents the white van. The two of them, Rocco and Scott, drive over 2,000 miles up to the Dolphin Fitness Club in Amityville, New York on Long Island. Scott said the only thing that Rocco told him was that they were staking out the club and offing the guy who owned the gym, and his name was Paul Riedel. Scott tells the police he didn't know Paul, but he'd seen pictures, and he says that Rocco knew the hours that Paul kept at the gym, and he knew what kind of car he drove. So on the night of the murder, who's working Paul's shift so he can get high? Al, the nice guy who goes out to his car to get a Ricky Martin CD. And Rocco sees Al with the goatee, the muscles. He's getting into the black GMC Yukon SUV. And Rocco tells Scott, quote, that's the guy.
Wow.
So Rocco jumps out of the car, fires 5 shots, jumps in the van, then says to Scott, quote, "Floor it." Scott tells police that Rocco used a .38 to kill Al, and they had tossed the gun in a creek a mile east of the gym and then hit the road. They were immediately back on the interstate and heading for Florida. Scott tells the police that he was shaken by the whole thing. He'd never been a part of a murder before. Scott's like, "Look, man, I'm just a drug dealer and an addict."
Yeah.
But Scott tells police a few days after the hit, Rocco comes to him with the news. "Dude, we messed up. We killed the wrong guy."
Wow.
After his confession to police, Scott is charged with second-degree murder and conspiracy, and then police go after Ralph Rocco Salierno.
Yep.
And Scott actually helps them find him in East Chester, New York. He's up there to see Leanne.
Oh, geez.
Police bring Rocco in, and immediately Rocco spills the beans and admits to his role in the murder. They didn't even have to, pressure him. He's just like, "Yeah, it was me." He tells basically the same story that Scott had given, with one exception. Rocco confesses that he's having an affair with the wife of the intended target, Ann Riedel.
Wow.
And the police were like, "Whoa, we didn't see that one coming."
Yeah.
Rocco tells the police all about his affair with Leanne and how he was so in love with her. And when Leanne tells him how bad her life was with Paul and that he was forcing her back to Long Island to be with him, Rocco wants to protect the woman he loves. Leanne's Rocco's damsel in distress, and he's going to take care of it. It being Paul.
Wow.
Paul had attorneys. Paul was using the custody laws of New York to get his son back to New York so he could be with him. And remember, he might be a drug addict, but he still really loves his son. And like I said, the law says she can't move him more than 50 miles away without Paul's permission.
Sure.
And Paul Riedel was not giving his permission. There was no way Leanne would be able to keep Paul out of her life and out of Rocco's life. She was attached to him by their son. And don't forget, Leanne's now pregnant. And Rocco tells the police, "That baby is mine."
That's what I was going to guess that earlier on.
So Leanne has lied to Paul about the baby. She's known all along that Rocco's the father.
Right.
And Rocco tells the police when Leanne left for Long Island to go back to Paul to be all happy couple again, it was just an act. And he tells them there would be no reconciliation between Leanne and Paul. She was pretending with Paul. He's saying, "She loves me." And the plan was to do away with Paul, and that way Leanne wouldn't have to worry about losing her son, and the two of them could finally be together with the life insurance money from Paul's death, the money out of his safe, and when she sells her half of the fitness club. They'd have all this money to live happily ever after. And he tells the authorities, Leanne said to kill him and you'll get $100,000. She gives him a photo, a description, but he still managed to kill the wrong guy.
What an idiot!
You had one job.
You had one job. So now the police bring in Leanne. She admits they know all of this. Then they bring her in. She admits to them that she's having an affair with Rocco, and she confessed that she still loved him and that the now newborn son that she had is indeed Rocco's child and not Paul's, but she denied having anything to do with Al's murder. What she does say is that Rocco loved her so much, he might have taken things into his own hands. He loved her so much, he would get rid of Paul so the two of them could be together. So Rocco meet bus.
Do it. Get rid of him. Throw him under a bus.
Because it's running over you. She's throwing you under it.
Everybody's throwing each other.
There's a lot of carnage.
Yeah.
But the police are like, who's telling us the truth and who is lying?
Right.
Michael Paglianti offers testimony against Leanne and Rocco in order to help himself out. Michael testified that he was present when Leanne explicitly said she wanted her husband, quote, dead, end quote, and gave Rocco a photograph of Paul plus driving directions to the 3 places where he could be found. And he explains that he was offered the hit first. So that's how he knows all about it.
Right.
And then that Rocco moved on to Scott Pageant. And Michael said that he originally heard her offer to Rocco, which was $100,000 to kill Paul, and then they would later split the proceeds of the gym and the money and yada, yada, yada.
Sure.
And with this, they charged Ann Riedel and Rocco Salierno with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Now, charging is one thing, but they have to convict. And who's the jury going to believe?
Right.
At their joint trial, Assistant DA Denise Merrifield says Leanne seduced Rocco into performing the murder. No child custody, no marriage, and they get to keep the life insurance policy. But obviously, the good guy and the victim, Al, instead lost his life.
Yeah.
So the DA tells the jury that Leanne is the mastermind behind the plan. She financed it. She was sleeping with the hitman, Rocco. And the defense says there's no physical proof that Leanne had anything to do with this murder. Rocco, out of the raging jealousy he was in, went after Paul for his own reasons. There's no evidence other than the smarmy guys who are testifying against her and saying they overheard or knew about the hit. Well, it's more than just one smarmy guy. It's several girls from the strip club and more than a few people from the underbelly of the crime world in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
They've all come forward looking for deals saying, yeah, this really did happen.
Right.
And with all the overwhelming evidence, both Leanne and Rocco are charged with murder. And when it goes to trial and Leanne is throwing Rocco under the bus, saying he was jealous and tried to murder Paul all on his own, but was too stupid to notice that the target wasn't Paul, the prosecution raises a question. If Leanne wasn't a part of the plot, then why did Scott Pageant and Rocco Salierno believe they were going to be making money off of the death of Paul?
Yeah.
And how did they know where to find him?
Right.
How did they know his schedule or Al's, who they believe is Paul? So neither Scott nor Rocco had ever been to Long Island. Rocco's attorney says he was coerced by the police into giving his confession. The defense team even said that Rocco wasn't in New York on the night of the shooting, and they brought an exotic dancer from Florida to take the stand, and she testified that she was with Rocco on the night of the murders, January 17th, 2001.
Yeah. How much did she get paid?
I don't know, but she did say they were having sex that night.
Okay.
But there were way more witnesses that said otherwise. And I want to say that Leanne reportedly walked into the courtroom all smiles every single day of the trial, but that's not gonna last. She maintains her innocence right up till the bitter end.
I'm sure she did.
The trial lasted 5 weeks and 35 witnesses were called. Then it took the jury 4.5 hours to reach a verdict.
Wow.
What do you think?
Oh, I'm going to think they're guilty.
Guilty, both of them.
Yep.
And it was when the verdict was read that Leanne broke down in screaming and crying wails.
Wow.
She was crying so loud and so hard that when the jury foreman finished reading the verdict over top of her screaming, he hung his head in his hands, like completely exasperated, like, huh. Oh my gosh.
Drama.
In April of 2004, Rocco was found guilty of first-degree murder and got life without parole. Leanne was found guilty of first-degree murder and was given 27 years to life in prison.
Wow.
Judge Louis Olig chastised Leanne for continuing to maintain her innocence despite evidence that she hired and later had a baby with a man who was supposed to kill her husband. Quote, "When is this charade going to end? Do you know how many families were affected here? How many lives were affected here?" End quote. He was not happy.
Yeah.
Leanne did not address the court during her sentencing. Her attorney, Bruce Barkett, asked Judge Olig to, quote, tread lightly, end quote, because he was about to send a wrongly convicted person away to prison. I'm rolling my eyes
Yeah.
so hard right now.
Yeah.
Assistant District Attorney Denise Merrifield took issue with Barkett's statements questioning the jury's verdict, saying, quote, "Justice has been served here, Your Honor. She, because of her own greed and evil heart, wanted her husband dead. This defendant is the most self-absorbed defendant I have ever prosecuted," end quote.
Wow.
Al's parents asked the judge to impose a very severe sentence to the gunman, to Rocco. According to Al's mother, Leonora Ferrari, quote, "Rocco Salierno is a despicable, cold, calculating person with no regard for human life. We want him to suffer every day of his life for what he did," end quote. And the judge asked Rocco if he wanted to atone for his deeds by looking the members of Al's family in the eye and asking for their forgiveness. And Rocco said no.
Wow.
He refused to apologize to the family.
Jeez.
And an even more courtroom drama, as Leanne is led out of the courtroom, an unidentified person yells out, quote, "Leanne, we love you. You'll be home soon, sweetheart," end quote. And a relative of Al's yelled back, quote,
Forget it. Forget it.
"Forget it," end quote.
Nice.
Now, on the flip side of this, Leanne has family members who totally believe she is completely innocent. They think that the prosecution's big witness, Michael Paglianti, who was arrested for buying the 500 pounds of weed, that he was looking down the long end of 40 years in prison and millions in fines. So he cut this deal and threw Leanne under the bus. And Scott Pageant, he had this huge cocaine addict. But most, including the jury, believed that Leanne was the mastermind and Rocco was the killer who murdered the wrong man.
Right.
Paul Riedel still lives in New York. He renamed the Dolphin Fitness Center to Big Al's Family Fitness in honor of his best friend. His son lives with him and the baby. And the older child of Leanne's, I believe, went to live with Leanne's sister. This according to an interview I saw with Paul.
Okay.
According to court records, Leanne Riedel served her sentence in Bedford Hills Correctional Facility for Women and has been presumably released on parole sometime in 2023 or 2024.
Wow.
Rocco, who was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, continues to serve his sentence at the Sullivan Correctional Facility in Fallsburg, New York. And as for Scott Pageant, the wheelman, he was released from custody after serving his full 15-year sentence at Eastern Prison in New York. Reports confirm he completed his sentence by either late 2018 or 2019. I did read where Big Al's Family Fitness had closed due to some landlord issues just late last year in 2024. But the tragedy is that Al Algeri died for no reason.
Yeah.
He was a good, decent, hardworking man in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Wow.
But that is the story of Leanne Riedel and her lover/killer, Rocco Salierno. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right, my takeaway from the whole thing,
Yes.
what a bunch of screw-ups.
Yeah, and one man
Yeah.
lost his life
Yeah.
over all of these bumbling idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of morons.
Morons for doing drugs,
Yeah.
everything. I mean, I do think that Leanne's ex-husband has, gotten his life together. He's a good dad and all, and it's sad that Big Al's gym has closed,
Yeah.
but a lot of time has passed.
Yeah.
25 years basically has passed.
Well, I'm just glad that they all had to pay the price.
Yes, yeah. But Leanne is out.
Yeah.
She's living under the radar because there was nothing to be found about her. And I couldn't even find exactly when she was released. We just know it was 2024, 2025.
She must be Vida la Loca.
Living La Vida Loca, probably in Florida.
Yeah,
That's my
exactly.
guess. That's
Anyway.
my guess.
All right, well, let's go from these morons to the next set of morons with a little bless your heart.
Well, bless your heart.
All right, number one, I'm calling a hard habit to break. This is short, but it's so stupid. Security video from inside a bus in China shows a woman standing behind the driver and arguing with him.
Oh my gosh.
The bus isn't moving. Then she wraps her scarf around his neck and starts choking him.
What?
She stops after a few seconds, argues a little more, and then she goes back to her seat.
Like nothing ever happened.
Now, according to reports, she'd been drinking, surprise, surprise. And the reason she got mad because the driver, get this, wouldn't let her smoke on the bus. She was charged with assault.
Oh my gosh. That makes me think quickly. Did you hear about the Delta flight that just turned around and went back because somebody was smoking pot in the bathroom, and the pilot was like, "I have to drug test all the time. You are not ruining my career.
Yeah.
I'm turning the plane around and I'm done."
Wow.
Yeah.
You could not wait 2 or 3 hours.
Just like her.
Oh, Lord.
This guy in the lavatory.
Yeah, well. All right, number 2. Can you say enabling?
Yes, I can.
According to court document, Holly Albert's mother called the police in August of 2017 to report a domestic violence incident.
Okay.
At the scene, police found the older Albert with blood-covered shirt.
Oh, wow.
And her hair matted down with blood.
Okay.
She told police that her daughter asked for a ride to a yoga class and became incensed when her mom declined. After insulting her mother, Holly Albert grabbed the house phone and chucked it directly at her mom's head,
oh my goodness,
hitting her on the temple, according to ABC 13. After her daughter fled the scene, her mother used the same phone to make her 911 call. A warrant arrest was issued the same day, but Holly Albert was only arrested in February of 2019, 18 months after the assault. Holly Albert's mom released a statement in support of her daughter that read, quote, "I freely state that at all times since those events up to the present, Holly Ann has lived with me and her father without any incident or reason whatsoever that would cause either of us to fear our safety or well-being." All right, now, the supportive mom added this statement about her, get this, 30-year-old daughter.
What?
Holly Ann is currently unemployed, and we are providing her with financial and other support at this time. Albert faces up to 10 years in prison.
I mean, perhaps, I just want to say, perhaps she suffers from mental illness and her parents are trying to, shield her. But at the same time, I'm Gen X, man.
Yeah.
We got the back end of a hairbrush on the butt,
Listen,
our parents didn't take anything off of us. We didn't get away with anything, nothing.
We played with lawn darts. All right, number 3. Can I see your ID? Oh, wait. I can see your ID. All right. Police in Lincoln, Nebraska were responding to a domestic dispute call. When they arrived to the home, they found a man that matched the description of the person that they were looking for.
Okay.
According to reports, he was sitting in a car outside of the residence when police approached and asked him what his name was, and he stated his name was D'Angelo Towns.
Okay.
Yeah, but then the officer noticed that he had a lanyard around his neck with a different name on it, which matched the name of the man that they were looking for. When the officers informed him that he was under arrest, a struggle ensued, but he was brought into custody. He was arrested on suspicion of resisting arrest, obstructing a government operation, false reporting, among other things.
I mean, come on, man. Take your name tag off if you're going to lie about who you are. Seriously?
A lanyard. Come on.
Bless his heart.
Yeah, I know. There you go.
Well, if you have a bless your heart or you know somebody's heart who needs blessing, all you got to do is go to hitchedtohomicide.com. When you get down there, come on down, folks.
Come on.
When you get there, there's a pull down menu. And while you're there, you can also suggest a case or tell us about your brush with true crime. And I forgot to say at the beginning, I'm telling you, off for a couple of weeks, sick as a dog. We also have a buy me a coffee link if you want to buy Rob some coffee. I left that out at the beginning, so I'm going to shove it in now.
I've almost drank it all.
He's had all his coffee. But that is my amazing husband out there who took such good care of me, I promise.
No. And that's my healthy, beautiful bride in the booth.
Join us next time on Hitched to Homicide.
Bye, y'all.